If you just now tuning in, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hit the bell. GMS fam, the green room. Let's talk about it. Hey, yo, happy Sunday, GMS fam, the green room, man. How's everybody doing? How's your weekend going? How did it go? Because it's pretty much almost over. You know, it's Sunday, so that means we got to get back ready for the regular week. Monday is around the corner, but still, how y'all feeling, man? I hope y'all doing okay. I hope y'all feeling well. We have only one thing to discuss today. Only one thing to discuss today. So I will not be keeping you guys long, but we will be discussing this special. So many things to unpack for this because it's Chris's first special since being smacked and embarrassed live at the Oscars by no other than Willard Smith. Now, with all that controversy that surrounded that moment at the Oscars, so many people had so many takes, so many people, wanted to know how Chris felt. He went back on the road, he was doing shows, and certain people were commenting and talking about certain things he was saying on the road during his special after the slap, but he wasn't speaking publicly. Will has actually come out publicly to speak on it and to talk about how he's felt about it. And, a lot of people were like, yeah, save those tears for another day. You aren't the victim. You're this and that. Some people were like, yeah, we feel what you said. We understand. You know what I'm saying? We not finna just not be fans of you because of this one mistake that you made in your career. But there's always going to be opinions spread all around about this situation. One thing we can do is judge for ourselves after the people involved have spoken. And finally, Chris Rock got to it, but we need to discuss the special before we really get into the meat and the potatoes. Like what Jada was doing with August, she was really getting to the meat and potatoes with that. All right, and, let's not do that. He started out with quoting something and saying something that I thought was referencing Will Smith, of course, when talking about words hurting people. I believe in Will's apology video that he put out there. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Will put out an apology video talking about the slap. And I believe it was either in that apology or either another appearance or whatever he said, or maybe it was a quote. that was posted on Instagram saying words hurt people. And Chris started out his special by saying, words hurt people. That's said by somebody who's never got punched in the face. Yeah, words hurt if you put them on a brick, basically. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? He probably went through a lot of embarrassing shit. Imagine all his peers talking to him. Like, I know he's had to have several conversations with his peers, not just seeing things online maybe, or probably, you know, certain fans or people that he's seen out and about in his regular life asking him about it, but just having those regular conversations with his friends and his peers in comedy. You know, I'm pretty sure a lot of people could not wait until he got his, you know, quote unquote revenge. But before he got there, I just want to say it didn't seem like Chris Rock was himself. It didn't seem like he could be himself on stage with this type. It's a different type of pressure. It's not just a pressure of, I'm about to do a special. You know what I'm saying? I'm Chris Rock. I'm a legend in comedy. I'm a legend in film. I'm a legend on TV. I'm going to give people one of the best, you know, performances and best specials that I can and focus on the jokes. It was, you can tell that there was a vendetta on his back. He had revenge on his mind. And not that Chris Rock wasn't a quote unquote edgy comedian, but you can tell he was trying to bring it to another place during his special, as far as some of the jokes. And I heard some things that sounded similar to me, which I'm gonna get to, and I want y'all to, you know, let me know if I'm bugging or not. You know what I mean? It's just something, and I'm pretty sure we're probably gonna hear about it in a few days. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But there was a part in his stand-up, he did a couple bits that sounded very similar. Now, not that he stole jokes, but premises and the way and the angle of what he was taking sounded very similar. Now, when Chris Rock talked about in the beginning, you know, how comedy, like I understand that comedy is comedy and we should treat it as such, but it really seemed like he had a point to prove. And I'm not trying to devalue it, because I can also use this same logic for Dave and being under a different pressure in that sense when it comes to the LGBTQ community and the black backlash that he constantly gets till this day from it, you know, and having to use a lot of his stand-up and kind of drawing a lot of his fan base back because of the fact that he's focusing in on a certain group. But it's like, what you need to understand is that is something that's affecting him in real life. And we know a lot of our favorite comedians to incorporate real life situations, especially some of the people that we consider the best comedians in the world, use their personal life and the personal things that they go through and turn it into comedy. And I think that although Chris Rock had a different pressure on him and a little bit of a different approach, that still keeps him in the category as one of the GOATs, because he took a lot of his personal situations, you know, whether it had been the slap at the end or talking about his marriage, talking about his kids, talking about the fact that he's quite possibly into trans individuals. That joke didn't fly over my head. You know what I'm saying? The special is called Selective Outrage, if you didn't know. But sorry if I didn't say that in the beginning. But his special is Selective Outrage, and it's on Netflix. But a lot of people incorporate their personal life, and that's some of the things I want to talk about with this. In the beginning, I noticed a lot of people didn't like the comparisons of him making the comparison of Michael Jackson and R. Kelly. And I see a lot of people bringing it to a place of Chris Rock basically tap dancing for white people during his. And here's the thing: if you saw the crowd, if anybody paid attention to the crowd, there were black people in there, but the camera went to the same black faces the entire special. And then when they panned out to see the whole crowd, first of all, the balcony was full of white people, and then just the base level, the main level of people was a lot. It was quite a bit of white people in there. So with that, the jokes hit a little different for people. And what I mean by that is like the audience at home. Like, and I guess I don't want to speak for everybody, but for me personally, it's like if I'm watching, you know, somebody who blew up like a Kevin Hart special or some shit over the past like 5-6 years or something, we're going to see more white people because that's more of the demographic of people that have gravitated and appealed to him, opposed to in the beginning, his crowd being different. It's like the laughs are different. The attraction to certain jokes are different. You know, you can't say a nigga joke when a crowd is mostly white and then think that they're comfortable laughing. Maybe they don't want to laugh because they don't want to look like they laughing at the joke because the man said nigga or the man's calling somebody too black. Like he had jokes about being too black in his special. A lot of people didn't take that the right way. And I think a lot of the reason is because of the audience that was there. Now, going to the other jokes that he was telling, like, and before I move on, I just want to say, comparing Michael Jackson to R. Kelly is always going to be a struggle because of the simple fact that Michael has always been found innocent at the end of the day, and on top of that, he's dead, and R. Kelly right now is being convicted of the things that they're saying he did. That's always going to be the difference. The similarities, though, is that they had underage children in their beds. That's the similarity. So I understand why he can bring up selective outrage in the fact that people will play Michael Jackson music still, but then will turn around and be like, I'm not playing that R. Kelly shit. Turn that R. Kelly. That nigga's nasty. He did this and that. I totally understand that. And I've been talking about this personally on this specific platform for a couple years now about selective outrage, about people's ability to only cherry pick what they want to be outraged about because it fits their narrative, or that they just want something to be mad at. Or really, one of the biggest reasons that I always don't hear people talk about, one of the biggest reasons why people have selective outrage and try to nitpick at every fucking thing going on in celebrities' lives and trending topics, is because they're running away from their own life. People run away from their own life on a daily. We have this image of what we believe our lives are supposed to be like. We see other people living those lives on the internet. We get this envy, or we get this I should be there syndrome, or I should have this syndrome, instead of actually going and focusing on how you can make your life better. What people do a lot of the times is go to the internet so that they can talk about somebody else, talk about their situation, try to shit on them, try to be like, oh, you're not a good person because you made a mistake in life. I think the most common sense when it comes to these situations, especially with celebrities and people with notoriety, I think they need to remember that a lot of these people can't have their mistakes and can't have the things that they've done wrong in this world be blasted on social media because they're not in that position. So it's an easy escape for a lot of people to get on the internet and talk crazy about other people, which is why you really cannot take a lot of this shit to heart. Always remember, especially when it comes to the random shit, like when people just randomly pop up to talk crazy about you, just randomly have wild opinions. First of all, that lets you know these people just sitting at the crib thinking about you, seething mad as fuck about the fact that they aren't doing something right with their life. So they have to find that nice little escape where they can forget about who they are and the things that they've done, the mistakes that they've made, so that they can pinpoint shit about other people. That is social media people on a daily. So with the whole premise of selective outrage, I am 100% with that. 100%. Now, on the other hand, I think it's extremely easy to attack our legends because they're black. It's very easy for our legends to become the punching bag or the topic of convo or the punchline because they are black. Chris Rock could have chose many examples. And I get it. He's a black man, black culture, say things that are relevant. But Chris Rock isn't just a black comedian. There's several people that you can speak on and talk about in their situations in selective outrage because it's been too many instances, but it's easy to attack our legends. That's just the reality of the situation. I don't think that, for one, there would be any, it wouldn't hit as hard for the audience or for the people watching at home because it's not a regular thing for our entertainers to do. We can say that we down for each other, we can say we ride for each other, but at the end of the day, we are our own punching bag sometimes. Now, he spoke on victim mentality. Or matter of fact, you know what? Before that, I want to say I do agree with him on certain business, basically pandering to different communities, because he was talking about how a lot of people are fake. A lot of shit is fake. Business is fake. And that's another thing I brought up on this channel about how many of y'all remember back in 2020 when all the shit was going on after George Floyd, there was riots going on, there's protests, and all of a sudden we start seeing black screens with Black Lives Matter plastered on the screen, different commercials, different corporations putting it up on their fucking platforms, all popular video games having Black Lives Matter posted on their home screens and shit. I was playing Spider-Man, fucking Miles Morales, and and when you beat the game, at the end it's a mural that's like a Black Lives Matter mural and shit. It was like, the pandering is real. And he spoke on the fact that he was like walking to a Lululemon and there was a sign outside of Lululemon talking about we're against discrimination, we're against hate, we're against this and that. And he made a good point, because he said them Lululemons is $100 a pair for fucking leggings. And what was the punchline with that? Oh, you say you against all this, but you definitely are against somebody. You against broke motherfuckers. And that money rules all. So all that pandering shit when it comes to Black Lives Matter and when it comes to we against discrimination and we against all hate and we against all of this and get you some Lululemons because of what we stand for, it's all pandering. It's all just to get your dollar, and all they do is profit off that shit. So that, when he spoke about that, there was a lot of shit that resonated with me in this spec. And to me, I'm gonna be honest. To me, I didn't think the special was that funny, but there were things that resonated with me. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not watching, and of course it's gonna sound stupid, but if I'm not watching it as a comedy, but listening to him speak after all the controversy, I will take something that, of course, he wants to use as a joke, but I'm taking it as, all right, this is how he's feeling right now. This is some real shit that he said. That's how I took that. Now, he brought up victim mentality and how white men like to act like the victims today, but it's only because they lose on social media when it comes to the narratives and, shit like that. Like he talked about how for some reason the tables have turned to where white men feel like they are the victims. And trust me, I see it on a daily. Being somebody who is trying to, maneuver the media space and trying to do a show on YouTube and trying to talk about current events, I surf the internet a lot. I look at different people's opinions a lot. I see comments a lot. And I know y'all have seen this said before. Let me know if you've seen this before being said on the internet by a white man or a white woman. One, this is one of their favorite things. Stop playing the victim. Stop playing the victim. Imagine having to deal with racism and discrimination and police brutality still in this day, because for some reason people think that shit just disappeared after a certain time in generation. But imagine still dealing with that till this day and having people tell you you're playing the victim. That's one. Secondly, what else are we starting to hear more of? Oh, the white privilege. My parents had to work hard for what they had. They had to come from the ground up. My family were sharecroppers. I didn't grow up in a mansion. I didn't have a trust fund. They thought being broke meant that they did not have white privilege. They thought because they didn't grow up with money that somehow they lived a black experience. How unfucking educated do you have to be, or actually just ignoring logic and common sense? It's crazy how some white people don't understand that black people know that there aren't a whole bunch of that white people just don't, they're just not born rich. We know that. We knew broke white people growing up, but we also knew that if you took broke me and broke Chad and we were out somewhere and something happened and the police came, do you think the first thing on that cop's mind is, that white motherfucker over there looks broke, let's beat his ass? That white motherfucker over there looks broke, we should check if he has a warrant. That white dude over there looks broke, let's see if we can search him. That white dude looks broke, let's ask him where he's going. Nah, I can bet my money that Chad will be A-okay. He may be broke, but he is not finna have no altercations that day. And that's the difference. That's the example of white privilege that we talking about. And then also bringing up the Capitol riots. Like he said, and this part was actually funny to me. He's like, white people went out there to try to go stop the election or try to stop. He's like, stop what? Who y'all trying to stop? Y'all think this country is being taken over by who? Who's taking over the country? Mexicans? Because I know it's not us. I know it's not black people. Who is it? Chinese? Is it China? I heard they've been sending balloons over here past couple weeks. Who's really taking over this motherfucker? You know, that's the weird part too. Like, ain't nobody really asking the question why we allowed a whole balloon and different objects from a different country to like make its way into our country, and not just make its way into our country, but travel the length of our country. It passed through different states. Like the United States allowed an object they didn't know about to pass through several states. Ask yourself a question. If I wanted to spread some type of disease or some type of biological warfare in some type of way, do you think I'm sending fighter jets or a nuke or something like? No, I'm sending an abstract object to float in the fucking air and make its way across an entire country before it's shot down, and we don't know what the fuck happened. That's another story for another day. Let's keep going on this shit right here. Now, he talked about the Kardashians a little bit, but I think he had more smoke for the Kardashians than he did Will Smith. And the thing with the Will Smith situation is he wanted to make sure he got out in front of that, not out in front of it, but he wanted to make sure that he appeased certain people who felt like he was a bitch after he got slapped. And you can feel not only the anger, but the embarrassment kind of flying off of him. And he even fucked up one of his jokes because he felt like, I feel like in that moment, he just, like I said, he couldn't be himself. He's talking about a moment in life that was really, it really stood out. It's something that people now, it's a mark on his career, not a stain, but a mark. Something that people will never forget. Something that will always hang on with him and Will Smith forever. And before I really go into that conversation, because there's a lot I want to talk about, I want to say there was some jokes that seem very similar to me. Now, if there's anybody who watches the 5150 show with Corey Holcomb and Darlene Ortiz and Marcus Smith, you know that comedian Corey Holcomb has talked about abortion a lot. Now, abortion jokes aren't just singular to Corey Holcomb's comedy, okay? But I don't see a lot of popular comedians pushing that route, like literally pushing into that subject hard in their routines like I have Corey Holcomb. Now, this is the reason why it came up. Like, the abortion jokes is one thing. But when he made the comment about stop letting broke dudes nut in you, it sounded very familiar. And it got a little weird on stage. Some people didn't know whether to clap or to not clap, because he was saying some real shit when it did pertain to abortion. He said that he has 2 daughters, so a part of him is pro-life, but the fact that he does have daughters and that he would love for his daughters to make their own decisions in life and be able to have control of their own bodies, he's definitely pro-choice. And he made the joke, I am very pro-choice, I'm with you. If you want to kill a baby, kill a baby. And then he went on killer baby jokes and different jokes in different ways and all that other shit, which also sounded a lot Corey Holcomb-ish. It did. But maybe I'm thinking too deep into it. Maybe. Who knows? Let me know in the chat. But either way, now the Will Smith conversation, now when he finally got around to it, when he finally eased people into it, he spent over an hour talking about everything else, and then the last 8 minutes of his special he spent on the Will Smith slap. Now, first and foremost, he called him Suge Smith to open it up. which is fair. Okay. Suge Smith, cool. But then that's when things started to get a little bit more heated. And he started actually speaking about what happened. Now, YouTube, I'm not playing a video. Fair use. I'm only playing audio of what he said. We have been going for a half an hour. I think it's been fair enough for me to play 2 minutes of a clip for context purposes. Fair use. Netflix, eat a dick. I don't know if that's going to help my case, but either way, eat a dick. This is what Chris Rock had to say. Listen to this.
And his wife was fucking her son's friend, okay? Now, I normally would not talk about this shit. But for some reason, these niggas put that shit on the internet. I have no idea why two talented people would do something that fucking low down. What the fuck? We all been cheated on. Everybody in here have been cheated on. None of us have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on us on television. None of us. It's like, hey, I was sucking somebody else's dick. How did that make you feel?
Which is actually the absolute truth, though. That's the absolute truth. I cannot express how much that changed my view of who I perceived Will Smith to be when that Red Table Talk episode came out with Will and Jada talking about the entanglement. It let me know that Will has had to deal with some traumatic shit in his relationship regarding his wife and the situation she may have put him through. And I spoke about this, man. I spoke about the fact that, and this is just the truth. As a matter of fact, if you spin back to last week's episode of 5150 when Craig was talking about how it's dangerous for two comedians to get together, it's just the same with two actors, people who are both entertainers trying to push their same goal of being a successful actor. What do you think is happening in a situation where you are somebody who is married to the biggest movie star in the world, and you being somebody who haven't reached any type of accomplishment near Will when it comes to being in being in films, being an actress? Which, when you hear it like that, you're like, why would she care? They're married. Y'all have no idea how much competition people be in when they in relationships. It's silent competition at that. Because all it takes is a conversation and understanding, but a lot of people don't want to have those conversations because it's uncomfortable. And instead, they will create a problem within how they feel about somebody else's success and inevitably bring problems to the relationship. I can only imagine Will being in all these blockbuster movies, dealing with all these A-list actresses, and being at home like, well, what am I supposed to do? And then we hear all the stories about all the things that Will has tried to do. And one of the major things that people have brought up is one of her birthday celebrations when Will tried to go all out for her birthday, and she made it a whole thing where she said, oh, this is about you. You did this for you, and this was selfish. And it was like, yeah, see, I can tell that man has been through some weird, frustrating shit with that woman. Now, let's hear a little bit more of what he said.
Why the fuck would you do that shit? She hurt him way more than he hurt me, okay? Okay? And by the way, he does that shit. Everybody in the world called him a bitch. I tried to call the motherfucker and give him my condolences. He ain't pick up for me. Everybody called that man a bitch fucking Charlemagne called him a bitch, and the Breakfast Club called him a bitch, and The View, and The Talk, and every rapper, and fucking the Drink Champs called him a fucking bitch. Everybody called him a bitch. They called his wife a predator. Everybody called him a bitch.
Now, let me speak on Charlemagne real quick. Regardless of how y'all felt of the special, me personally, I did not think the special was that good at all. I didn't think it was that funny at all. It wasn't that entertaining. The most entertaining part was the Will Smith part. And that's just how I feel about it. It doesn't take away from him being a comedy goat. It doesn't take away from him being funny. It's just the problem with me is that it got overhyped. And I'm somebody who listens to different people. And one of those people is Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne hyped this shit so much that it brought expectations so high for me that I was expecting him to actually really ether them niggas, because to be honest, Chris Rock did not go as hard as he could have on them at all. Sure, call Jada a bitch. Sure, say what Will did with some bitch ass shit. Sure. But I would have went harder, and I know a lot of y'all would have went harder in this situation. We're talking about, and let's just be real. Let's be real for a second. We're talking about somebody who was publicly humiliated in front of the world, had his self being smacked in 4K, played all across the country. So many people saw what happened to you. I would have been telling, I would have said, I would have been talking about skeeting on Jada's head, right where the alopecia is. I would have went nuts. I would have been like, the only reason you're mad is because your wife started fucking August after your son did. I would have been, there's so much shit that could have been said. Shit, it looked like your wife letting everybody hit. I'm recently divorced. I need a turn. Let me get a turn on that motherfucker. Let me fuck G.I. Jane from the back. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wouldn't slap anybody else but little old Chris Rock. I would have asked, how does that mouth feel to Willow Smith? Look, man. And this is not a slight, or this is not me trying to disrespect the Smith family. I'm speaking from a place of, if it was me, okay, I have no vendetta against them. Nigga didn't slap me. That nigga didn't slap me. Why the fuck? I don't have a vendetta or a dislike for Will Smith, but I do think, and especially after hearing Chris talk about everybody, because a lot of people did call him a bitch. A lot of people did call Will a bitch after that happened. And the only person that caught repercussions from it was the smallest guy in the room. And that does not get you brownie points, no tough points, no any of that. And when you see things from what they are, and you aren't a biased fanboy or anything like that, you are going to call out when things are wrong, and you're going to call out when things are right. That's just basically how it is. So regardless if I'm a fan of Will Smith or not, what Will did was some bitch nigga shit. You cannot do that shit, man. You can't. So many other people. He sent Charlemagne his book all fancy like. Big old box lit up with music, and automatic doors and shit, had a key and all types of shit. Then Charlamagne turned around, called this nigga a bitch. But you slapped Chris Rock. Now, he said he only watched Emancipation to watch Will get beat, and he was rooting for Massa in the movie. Now, Chris Rock is a comedian. I understand. But when it comes to the type of jokes he was telling and the type of crowd that was there and the type of demographic that was paying attention, those jokes, man, like I said earlier, hit different to the audience. It hits different to they didn't hardly. I could feel how it was divided when it came to the laughs and certain jokes with the racial jokes, like when he was talking about Draymond Green being too black, or when he was saying or talking about the Kardashians' dad, Robert Kardashian, being cursed for the rest of their lives, and his daughter will only date niggas, and not just niggas, but crazy niggas, and blah, 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 all this other shit. Then turn around and I watched Emancipation only to see Will Smith get beat. I was rooting for Massa. I said, you missed a spot. That's what he said. You saying you missed a spot while talking about a Massa beating a slave. Now, this, I know it's a joke, man. I know it's a joke, but hear me out. If we were back in that day, and let's just say Will Smith and Chris Rock were slaves, and Chris Rock said something about Will's wife at the time, and Will smacked him, what do you think Chris would do if Will and Jada got up and ran in the middle of the night? What y'all think Chris gonna do? He gonna hear them fucking bongos in his fucking ear, and he gonna hear drums, please, and then he gonna go straight to Massa talking about Massa, Willard and his bald-headed wench heading up north. Yeah, Willard and his bald-headed bitch headed up north. Y'all better go do something about it. I just see where they went. They went that way. They went that way. Right next to the big old tree. Right next to the big willow tree. The willow tree looking at. I don't mean to be jaded. Come on, man. I'm just saying. That's a wild joke to make, fam. That's a wild joke to make when you have an audience in front of you of a grand percentage of white people. Come on, bro. Now, to me, and to a lot of people, it may look like it was very anti-black, and it looked like he was trying to appease his white counterparts. But let me finish this last couple seconds of this video real quick.
And who's he hit? Me. A nigga he knows he could beat. That is some bitch ass shit. That's what the fuck happened, okay?
And after he fucked this joke, he fucked this joke up about Emancipation. He was trying to say that Will was nominated for, or didn't get nominated for concussion. It was supposed to be a concussion joke. And I could tell that on the fly, because he fucked that joke up, that was when he decided that he was going to be like, I didn't have an entanglement with that bitch. I think that was the line. Either way, he called Jada a bitch, and I was like, "Ooh!" And they panned to the crowd. There was a nigga in the crowd. I was like, "Oh shit!" that was a moment where you were like, "Oh shit!" He done called Jada a bitch. It's on, nigga. It's on. Will, let me just say this real quick. Hey, Will, if him saying that your wife was being casted as G.I. Jane was enough for you to stand up during a live TV program, walk all the way up on stage and smack him calling her a bitch should have you put a blicky out and dump at him and the whole Rock family. Cuz what you gonna do, Will? It's your turn. It's your turn, Big Willard. Big Willie style. Ain't that what you said? You gonna get jiggy with it, nigga? You gonna get jiggy with it, nigga? Don't you try to go to Miami. Don't you try to flee to Miami, nigga. Because when it's the summertime, the blickies get to popping, cuz. What you gonna do? Huh? We call it, it's your move, Big Willie. It's your move, Big Willie style. He said she was a bitch. That's way harsh than the nigga calling somebody G.I. Jane. But you know what's gonna happen? Nothing. Because now Will is on a spiritual wavelength. You know, he said he would never do any slave movies, but of course, after what happened, he had to come back profoundly with emancipation. He had to, I don't think, right, as a matter of fact, you know, Arsenio said before the special started that Will was going to be smacking his TV. You know what I think Will did? I think the whole entire time that live special was on, he was somewhere in his house meditating, trying to find his chi. That's what I think. I think, and to the people, let me just say this. To the people that are like, oh, his smoke should have just been for Will. He shouldn't have called Jada a bitch. He shouldn't have did this and that. I'm sorry, but did he not smack Chris Rock for his wife? Did she not clearly have a problem with what was said? Did she not smile after it happened? I'm not saying it's warranted, but everybody can get the clip dumped at him. You know what I'm saying? Chris Rock, hey, you can't tell nobody how to react to something that happened to them. But I will say this. Next time somebody drop you the bag, Charlemagne the God, make sure you are hyping it at the right level. You overhype this shit, and I know you got a bag for this shit because the nigga shouted you out in his fucking special. Charlemagne called him a bitch. Drink Champs called him a bitch. You realize how he was naming off black platforms and black people that called him a bitch? It's another thing. You know what I mean? He didn't name any white people. And it was so many white. A matter of fact, I think it was Joe Segura or Tom Segura, whatever white comedian it was, who after it happened literally went on a tirade on Twitter calling, you talk about somebody that went in on Will and Jada. He didn't mention any of them guys by name. He didn't specifically call those people out. He could have said everybody called him a bitch, but no, he specifically wanted to let it be known that people in the black community called Will a bitch. And I think a lot of that came from the other side of the black community that was saying that Chris deserved to get slapped. And a lot of that did play a part in the special, and I get it. But at the end of the day, man, I hope right here is the last we have to deal with the infamous smack from the Oscars. I think we done got replies from both sides, and I think it's done after that. I don't think these men are going to have to really cross paths like that ever again. I don't think they need to find a common ground. I don't see no red table talk coming in the near future. None of that. I think it's safe to say that the Smith family and the Rock family are going their separate ways and doing their own shit, riding in their own journey, nigga. And that's how I feel about this special here, man. So now for y'all, if we can give it a grade, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put up a poll right now. I'm going to put up a poll right now. And I'm going to ask y'all what y'all grade this Chris Rock special. Okay? I don't want to leave it to just my opinion. I don't want to leave it to just me. I want to ask y'all. We're going to put up the poll, man. We're going to grade the special. Now for y'all. All right. Hold on, let me see. There we go. Let's put this poll up. Where is it? Start a poll. There we go. What do you grade Selective Outrage? I will say this. I think the title of this special alone is a great title just because of the day and age that we live in when it comes to social media. I'm not going to give it an F because if you give it an F, you're just lying. But it's going to be A through D, all right? Go ahead and vote on this poll right here. Vote on the poll. What do y'all think of this Chris Rock special, man? Grades from A to D. Give me your honest opinion. What do y'all think, man? I have to know. Now, me personally, I would give it a C. A C because I understood the approach. It wasn't a time where I was like, I fucking hate this. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things did come to my worldview, my vision later on after thinking about certain jokes that was told and how they were told. I had to watch it again today, right before, going live, just to rehash everything and hear things for a second time around. And I give it a C. If he would have went harder on the Will Smith situation, I would have gave it a B. But I give it a C. Vote on the poll. Let me see what y'all think, man. We only got 14 votes. It's about 50-something people in here right now. Vote on the poll. If you hear this shit, vote on the poll. I'm only going to give y'all so much time. Oh man, I gotta show y'all. Hold on, let me show y'all this real quick. Somebody made this statement on Twitter. I want to see what y'all think about this, because there was people who loved it, there's people who had things to say about it, and there was people who had some negative things to say about it. And one of those tweets is getting a lot of attention right now. I want to know how y'all feel. Let me see. There we go. There we go. Vote on that poll, man. Vote on that poll. Let me know what you think. Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right, so a rapper by the name of Chica took to her Twitter page to say this. She said, "Chris Rock is such a bitch. You use an on-stage moment to take a jab at a woman you have an off-stage grudge against, got the shit slapped out of you, rightfully so, and now are using white people's clutching of pearls to paint yourself as a victim while continuing your tirade. You have been a coon since the beginning, and instead of taking that moment in stride and humbling yourself, you choose to use the guise of comedy to continue to talk shit about a couple that clearly don't fuck with you. She turned you down. He slapped you. Get over it. You are a weak ass bitch who will undoubtedly Wipe your tears with the dirty money your little comedy tour will bring, but you will forever be the cuck nobody wanted. You disgrace yourself the more you speak. Please give it up. Goddamn. Please give it a goddamn rest. Christopher. Now, while y'all continue to vote on this poll, let me just say why this statement is wrong. For one, he didn't just use an on-stage moment to take a jab at a woman that he had off-stage problems with. What she said was public when it came to Chris Rock having to be fired or to have him quit his job working and hosting for the Oscars because Will didn't get nominated for an award. That's just simply not the case. You can't say that they had some inner personal shit that nobody knew about and he brought it to the stage. That was not the case at all. And then to say, and now are using white people's clutching of pearls to paint yourself as a victim. He said verbatim, I am not a victim. He said it in his special. But I mean, there's a lot of biased people out there, people that already have either a hatred or a dislike for somebody, so they're already going to find something wrong with it. But when you make certain statements, you got to be factual in it. Even if you have a hate towards somebody, if they did something that was wrong, you have to bring up legitimate points as to why it was wrong. And if I see the first two things in your statement be non-factual, the fact that Jada went out of her way to say something about Chris not doing his job anymore, being fired or quitting his job, and then to say that he wanted to paint himself as the victim when he literally said in his special that he is not a victim. Those are your two wrongs right there. Now, being a coon since the beginning, that's subjective. But saying he should have took the moment in stride and humbled himself for a situation where somebody walked up on him and slapped him for a harmless joke. Harmless, completely harmless joke. There was nothing offensive about the G.I. Jane joke. Jada's bald. Fuck it. All right? Like, you would have thought that they said that they just came out and said Jada had like terminal cancer or some shit. But it was a harmless joke. And he got slapped for it on national TV. I don't think there is a moment in anyone's life where they can just be like, well, I'm humbled and I'm taking this moment in stride because, you know, I deserved it. No, he didn't. He didn't deserve to get slapped. And that was the other falsehood right there, saying that he deserved to get slapped. Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with this statement, but it's certain things like this that get passed on social media that people, you know, they try to hang on to certain narratives and certain aspects and quotables and statements on Twitter because they can't think for themselves. So that's how that happens. But either way, I don't think this was I don't think it was horrible. I don't think any of that. I am disappointed because it was overhyped to us, to me at least, very overhyped. But what's said had to be said, regardless if it was to my liking or not. Chris did what he had to do, and we can only see what happens from this day forward, man. Now, finish up the poll, man. I'm gonna give y'all 1 last minute, 1 minute. All right, 1 minute exactly to get your votes in on the poll, man. How did you grade Chris Rock's special Selective Outrage? Grade it. What do you think of the special? Did he have a good special? Was it great? Was it an A? Was it a B? Was it a C or D? Grade the special. Let me know what you think, and then we gonna get up out of here, man. Enjoy the rest of this Sunday. Smoke something if you got it. GMS fam. Hey, also, by the way, if by chance anybody random or anybody new comes by this page, I need y'all to do a solid favor, and that's go to Bandcamp, a very beautiful place that has music by yours truly. I play a lot of beats on this channel, but what you need to understand is that I am always in my bag when it comes to production, and I need the GMS fam to get behind this GMS movement. So what I need y'all to do, usually I'm like, hit the like button, subscribe, all that other shit. Today, on this Sunday, I'm gonna need y'all to click that link that I just posted in the live chat and go play that GMS episode 6. It's absolutely free to listen to. It's absolutely free to download. You can catch it on bandcamp.com. GMS fam, the green room. We're going to close the poll out, man. Let's see what it is, man. I gave y'all 1 minute. With 24 votes, it is official. Chris Rock's special comes in with a grade of a C. Straight from the GMS fam like that, man. Hey, I ain't hating. That was my grade level. That's what I gave it. I ain't hating, man. I am not hating on that grade level at all. Yeah, that lets me know that y'all was being honest. And if I have honest people here in the chat, I know y'all gonna have my back when I'm fucking up, and when I do something wrong, or when I step out of pocket, or do something right, or do something amazing. You always gonna let me know the truth, man. So, with that said, GMS fam, the green room, I appreciate y'all so much. Today was a dope show. I want y'all to enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. Prepare yourself for the regular week. Monday is around the corner. We gotta get to it, but guess what else is around the corner? Spring, motherfucker. The snow is slowly but surely melting away. The sun is continuing to come outside. Bring that joy back to your lives, man. GMS fam, the green room, do what you gotta do. Hit that like button. Follow me on my socials. I follow everybody back. Hit the Cash App today if you are feeling generous. I most appreciate it. My people. Hey. Holy. Go get that GMS episode 6, baby. That shit is fire. I would not steer you wrong, man. I promise you. Go vibe the fuck out. Vibe the fuck out. Shout out to my GMS fam, man. Y'all help me keep pushing every day. I appreciate y'all so much. You don't even understand, for real. We got some dope shit coming this summer, especially this 420. This 420, be on the lookout, baby. All right? GMS fam, the green room. One love, baby. We out.